As the season for the Carolina Panthers comes to an end, we have 2 games remaining on the schedule. And if we're being honest, these games are essentially meaningless for the Carolina Panthers. Now, that's not to say they are not here to play for something. We've heard about Jadeveon Clowney and his perspective on finishing this season, playing for themselves, playing for family, playing for each other in the Carolina Panthers brand. And playing Panthers football is what Dave Canales likes to say. But the Panthers are going to have their hands full against Tampa Bay on Sunday. We have the official injury report that has been released by the team, and there's a few guys that are out, that are starters, and a few guys that are doubtful that are likely not going to play. We'll start with the offensive side of the ball. There aren't many updates, but a few. Significant news for Taylor Moton, who is now listed as doubtful. We'll take a look at the depth chart in a second, but that could possibly mean Josh Nijman or Brady Christensen getting the start at right tackle. TBD on what that's going to look like. Again, Brady Christensen played center this past week because Cade Mays was sick. So you never know. You could have Cade at center, Brady out. The whole offensive line shakeup is TBD. Some questionable guys that have been limited this week. Chuba Hubbard sounds like he likely will play. Xavier Legette, who's been battling the hip and groin, or at least that's what is listed, although he said it's a groin injury. It has been a full participant and then limited the last 2 days. He is questionable. And Bryce Young actually made it on the injury report this week, but he's going to go, so no issues there. Damian Lewis does have an illness, and he is listed as questionable as well. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irvin, like all those playmakers that kind of ate the Carolina Panthers and typically do when we face them, are going to probably have a little bit easier path here on Sunday. We'll start with Shaw Smith-Wade, who's battling an illness with his chest. He is listed as out, so there's your nickel cornerback gone. J.C. Horn is now listed as doubtful, battling a hip injury. And to be fair with J.C. Horn, I feel like if this game was meaningful and the Panthers were playing for something, like, folks, you don't hang banners for eliminating teams out of the playoffs. It does not make sense to trot out J.C. Horn in a game that means nothing. Like, sure, we want to knock off every opponent in the NFC South. We want to eliminate teams from the playoffs. But to be fair, half this team didn't even know they eliminated the Arizona Cardinals last week. So I'm just saying, you got that. You have J.C. Horn, who likely is going to be out, and we're going to look at who is going to be available at corner in a second and nickel. Jadeveon Clowney is questionable, though it sounds like he should be able to go. And then significantly on the inside with a concussion and a quad injury, you have Josie Jewell, your starting linebacker. So Panthers are at least out with their starting starting linebacker, starting corner, potentially offensive line, and your nickel. Missing quite a few guys. A'Shawn Robinson and DJ Wonnum are also questionable. Now, A'Shawn did not participate. He was full participant, limited, and did not participate, but he's listed as questionable, so we hope that he's going to be a go. On the Tampa side, and we'll get into the Panthers here in a second, but Sterling Shepard is out, as is Cade Otton and Antoine Winfield Jr. So they do have 3 guys out on their side. The only questionable folks are Jordan Whitehead, Cameron Johnson, and KJ Britt. So going back to the Panthers, speaking of who's out, you now look at the linebacking core with Josie Jewell. Not here, not as a starter. You have Jacoby Wyndham, John Radigan, and Chandler Wooten. Remember, Chandler Wooten was on the practice squad. He was on the roster. He was actually signed off of a practice squad earlier this week and is now on the active roster. Panthers have 3 inexperienced linebackers. I look for it to be a tough day stopping the run for the Carolina Panthers. At the cornerback position, J.C. Horn being out and Shaw Smith-Wade, you're likely looking at a combination of Mike Jackson as the number 1 cornerback, Dane Jackson potentially is the number 2, and then a mixture of Caleb Farley, Shamar Bartholomew, who we haven't really seen, and a Caleb Evans, and potentially a call-up. It's going to be a pretty long day for the Carolina Panthers. So I know the Panthers want to win this game very badly. I've talked about the importance of winning the game. just as it helps them get into the offseason and build things up. But no doubt they are going to have their hands full coming up this weekend. So anyways, folks, that's Carolina Dad with your update on the Carolina Panthers. Y'all have a good one.